Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, motion to accept the financial report and payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Have any budget amendments, Steve? No?
No, not tonight.
Okay, Louis.
I have, of course, the board is well aware of their project now to the Bell Hill Tower being rehabbed, and the contract's been issued to K&K Painting. And we have two change orders tonight. One change order is to fabricate and install an interior ladder at Bell Hill Tower. The cost of that is $13,500, been reviewed by our engineer, and it's been submitted to Department of Housing and Community Development for approval. I would recommend that the board authorize change order number 1 to the K&K Painting Construction Company contract.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept change order number 1?
I will make a motion to accept change order number 1.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
The second change order does not involve money directly from the contractor. However, it does extend the contract for 90 days, ending on April 25th, 2014. This extension was based on the fact that the weather has been not suitable for painting and rehab work on the site, and obviously because of all the snowstorms and everything. This change order would affect the town's CDBG grant, so we submitted it to Department of Housing and Community Development, and they have notified me that they approved it. So it does not jeopardize our CDBG funding for this project. I would recommend that the town authorize change order number 2, extending the contract for 90 days, ending on April 25th, 2014.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept change order number 2?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's the only 2 amendments I have.
I really don't have any old business. Joe, any old business?
No old business.
I have none. She has no.
She doesn't? Oh, okay. You don't have any? So any old business?
No, I do not have any old business.
Mr. Hicks, any old business?
Under old business, I was inquired from a resident in the community that attended one of our meetings, and I wanted to ask Steve, have we made any headway with the refinancing, something that I know Commissioner Jablonski had initially kind of brought up? How are we doing with that?
Sadly, they have conversations with me often enough to keep me holding out for some hope that I'll get something from them. It's been 2 weeks since the last conversation with the person I'm dealing with here at PNC Bank, and that's what we needed, and they're extended period of silence once again. This has been the pattern since June. Just enough that, you know, we need to believe that something was going to happen in 2 weeks of nothing happening, and unfortunately I have nothing to report on that.
Okay. Our plans are to seek other options?
would like to get one little bit of information from this person before I seek other options, but I can always seek other options. It is very disappointing, frustrating to say the least, of giving them information, sometimes same information more than once, and just have not gotten any concrete response, gotten verbal answers, but nothing concrete, writing, nothing signed, and nothing has happened.
So like in general, how long have you been actually trying to go through this
Well,
process?
that's not June. That's embarrassing to say, but I'm still waiting. I have not received an offer from them in writing with the bottom line of what they would charge to do this.
So-
They say that there would be an attorney's opinion to accompany this refinancing.
Is there
I
any-
don't have a price on that yet. Do you know if you wanted to pursue that or not?
Well, I mean, I definitely think that we ought to pursue other options, obviously. You know, I'm just interested in what the board has to say.
I think we should too. This has been a long time now. We're waiting for an answer. I'm actually waiting from the same bank for a same type business deal with them. There is a new business banker there that was just put in place about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if we should reach out to him. I'm going to on another matter, but we definitely have to renegotiate these loans.
Well, if you can't, then I think we need to explore other avenues and other places that we can get something done, because waiting since June, that's a little much. I mean, I would think that they would want the business, number one, you know.
Well, quite frankly, that gives the opinion that they'd rather not refinance it.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly that would be in their interest to not refinance it.
Right.
Because the original loan is with that.
Right.
At a higher rate.
At a high rate.
Right.
That's why we started it in the first place.
The snail states at which they're responding.
Right.
That's something.
Okay, so I mean, I guess it's a consensus that we go out.
Look elsewhere.
Yeah, that we, well, yeah, I just think we ought to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, it is very important. I mean, it adds up to a significant amount of savings for us, so, okay, thank
I
you.
mean, every time I hadn't heard from this person for an extended period, I would call back and it's like, oh yeah, I just sent that off, you know. Like, it's been very frustrating.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
since it's been frustrating before, we bring it up now. We asked you, do you have a game plan at this point? Because certainly we're saying that something needs to be done.
I would like to first off.
And when I say game plan, I'm including the town administrator since he handles the day-by-day affairs. You all have to sit down and think of what your game plan might be.
I just cut them off. PNC is done. I want to go after 2 other banks I won't mention in the meeting.
Okay.
I think, my opinion is, I hear you say about phone calls, if you're gonna do something, go personally and sit down like any other business people and sit down and talk to them instead of on the phone. I'd rather see a person
Well,
face to face.
And I thought earlier points were taken, but we asked them to do that before, didn't we?
Yeah, the PNC.
Actually, that
person
person's
now.
not in town.
I think the banks came to us when we put it out
Absolutely.
last time. They came
Gave
to
us a
us.
very attractive offer, but
Yeah.
didn't deliver on the offer.
Right.
And the person whose responsibility is, I don't remember her title, but governmental loans or whatever it is not physically housed here,
Right.
which is actually involved.
Well, I called her one time and she finally got back to us, but still got the
And
same
nothing
story.
happened.
And nothing happened after I talked to
Nothing
her.
happened.
Any given conversation will sound promising and nothing.
But somebody has to be accountable for that bank. I mean, you don't do business and just cut somebody off just like that. There's got to be somebody accountable. And if you're a stakeholder or what have you, I'm quite sure they would be upset knowing that they're not communicating.
I think the last time this happened, and we didn't hear any communication, we involved the branch manager of that bank, and then heard something back. It got a quick response, but then we've been on hold since. So perhaps the branch manager needs a face-to-face with the town And then if you don't get any results, then go to the other banks.
Who'd you say the new person was that just came?
It's a young man, I have his
You don't know
card,
what his title was?
I can't recall his name.
All right.
The game plan is I'm gonna pursue 2 other banks and come back to the board with the options.
Sounds good.
That's our game plan.
Yeah, good job, sir.
Okay. The only thing I have is, again, once again, I think with the snowstorm, the guys performed very well, did a great job, got some compliments again. In fact, too, I think everybody knows, but just let everybody know for the record that we did get a compliment from a resident, Jeanette, and sent us an email to Michelle stating that I have been meaning to tell you and the town follows what great job they have been doing on the roads this winter. Awesome job, and it seems never ending. Thank you all. So they are doing a good job, and people out there are recognizing that these guys are working pretty hard, and it's been pretty rough, as we all know, with this past winter. Well, it's still winter, but it's been snowstorm after snowstorm.
You get a lot of practice.
Pardon?
You're getting more practice than
Oh, yeah. But, well, the other thing was, we all know that we started the Mayor's Drug Task Force, and today I was up in Elkton, PA, the Honeycomb Behavioral Health Service Systems, along with Ken Collins of the Cecil County, on this new group that they formed up there called NOPE, N-O-P-E, Narcotics Overdose Prevention and Education. And I got to tell you, it's really heart-wrenching to be able to see what's going on with our teenagers and the things that are happening with these parents. I mean, it's not a laughing matter. It's not a joke. It's serious. I've got to tell you, I'm really getting into this thing. It's not just in Elkton. Everybody says, oh, well, Elkton's full of drugs. Well, it's not in Elkton. It's in Charlestown. It's in Rising Sun. And it's a national problem. It's on the national news. Governors have stood up and spoken in front of their State of Union on this thing. And I think everybody needs to take this situation with this drug serious. And I tell you, it was just, honestly, it really brought tears to all our eyes. Everybody was really, really something to see what the presentation they put on. And 2 parents there talking about their children that died. And 1 parent lost 3 children. And that's really heart-wrenching, I got to tell you. I mean, it's gotten to me to the point where we're going to try and do whatever we can do in this town and the county to work with them and the towns to see what we can do to prevent this. And one good thing that's happened so far was that they had talked to Delegate Rudolph and the county exec and to ask them, and some states already have this, to get a Good Samaritan law passed. So far, we've been lucky. The House passed the bill, and it's now in the Senate. Bill 476. What it is a bill that protects the person that calls 911. And that's where a lot of problems have existed, is that when you get to a person that's OD'd, and there's a person next to them, and they want to help them, they're afraid to call 911 because they're afraid they'll wind up getting arrested. But with this bill, if it gets passed, and it looks like it will for the state, that if someone's in problems, has a problem with it, and they need help, this person, excuse me, can call without fear of being arrested to help that person get help and to save a life. So it's something big, and it'll be something big in the state. So we're really we're glad to hear that happening to help us out with this situation. So, okay, that's all I have. Mary Jo?
I have a few things. Louis, I have to compliment you on your weekly reports. They are full of information. I do take time to read them all. And there were some things on there. One, the fireworks. For the public, I think, should realize that the mayor and Parks and Rec have already received $4,500 in donations excuse me, for the fireworks. And our new website that the town's doing, I was in on the initial training part. It's going to be an excellent website, very, very user-friendly, with a lot of information on it. So they are doing a terrific job, all the staff, and thank Michelle Michelle is awesome getting everyone together for this.
I think training tomorrow and Friday.
Tomorrow and Friday, yes. I talked to Steve briefly about our water bill, how you cannot pay by credit or debit card. And I think it's really important that we get something initiated to do that. People today do their banking online. They do a lot of things differently than they did years ago. And I think we might be able to have more people paying if it was easy as go there, swipe your card, without paying that $6.30-some fee online that we have now. So I asked Steve if he would please look into that. We chatted a little bit about it. And so he's going to look at that. Another thing that I'm happy to say, we have a problem with downtown parking right now.
That's good.
That's good. I said I'm happy to say it. But I was looking at the lighting on the municipal stairway and the municipal parking lot. Can we get in touch with Delmarva to, first of all, on the stairway there are some lights out, and but if we could get upgraded that lighting to energy efficient LED, they're brighter. We did it at the hospital as the test.
The LEDs.
The LEDs, and they're brighter, and so it would be safer for people to park back there and feel more welcome. And I did testify Wednesday night at DHCD, or for DHCD, regarding sustainable communities and the Neighborhood Business Works program, to keep the governor's funding for that, because downtown businesses do use that. It's a great asset that we do have, so I hope that that goes through. And I think that's it.
Well,
I just had one comment about the trash pickup. I know that we send out information means of computer or emails. How do we capture people that don't have emails? And I know it's last minute change, but we need to put.
We don't.
I mean,
We
there
have
was.
a method at a last minute thing. If it's a planned event, you can put it in the paper. Of course, people don't get the paper. You can put it on your website. But there's no other method that we can do. Like in the recent case, when you have a storm come up, and then Delaware declared a emergency, so the trash people couldn't operate. So we had to make I had to do a quick change. There's no way to tell people that
I was just wondering because
to any extent.
I know it, even the emails. If you don't get the email at that time, the next morning you read the email, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
But it'd be a nice thing if we had a method to do it, but I think the mayor suggested that we might be able to put it, I don't think we'll put a trash message on the Channel 11 or anything. They might do a closing thing, but they won't put a whole message on it for you.
another thing you do a reverse 911.
Yeah.
That would be something.
I don't think they'll do that.
Or, you know,
WXCY will do community services or announcements. I don't think they would do trash, but for other things, but not the trash. You know, I had mentioned if there was a little sign all of us could put in the front of our lawn that just says, trash is delayed one day because of a storm, and all your neighbors can see it, because it's such a, I think people are starting to know, though, now with the storms, that you're not going to get your trash collected.
We've just had such an extraordinary situation here in the last few months. It's very atypical. Next year it's going to be all nice, though.
All right, Marty, man.
Marty.
Charlie, you got about
Well, I agree with Earl in one sense, because the other night, Louis, I did call you and I talked with the mayor, and just like the three of us, we were all conflicting with what was supposed to be. And then we found out what the reality was. It was one day back.
Yeah, one.
And that's, and I guess in situations like that, it's always going to be. Mary Jo, the parking I've mentioned before, you know, they still park up there further up on Main Street, and South Street is still empty. I don't know what it is. I've probably said this 50 million times, and we got meters there. But I guess people, creatures of habits, they don't want to pay the money, or either they don't mind walking.
Well, I'm speaking of nighttime.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just talking about a parking issue
Yeah.
as well. And I don't know why they do that, but they do. And I agree with what you're asking as well. Mayor, getting back to you with the drugs, I know one thing, to handle drugs, I don't know what y'all do with the Board of Education, but to keep people away from drugs, it's always been certain that if you attack the young kids at an early age in the elementary school, it's so vital that they don't do these things when they become older. So I don't know what y'all do with the school system, but certainly.
No, it's something we're working on. We did mention that today, Charlie. In fact, glad you mentioned that. Yeah, we've got to get into the schools a little bit more, with more educational and stuff to them, to let them know and see this and show them some of the things that I just saw today that I think will really do it. So,
And
very
then,
strong.
and then if they miss that point and they become young people, another deterrent, of course, we try to provide recreation. I know other areas can't do it. We try to do something here, but it didn't happen. But, you know, recreation would be another way to keep the kids off the street and get them involved in something else. But I don't know what we have to offer people from 12, 13, 14, and 15 other than activity and sports whenever that season comes. Otherwise, kids are going to be on the street. Because kids don't go to the dances and those things they used to do anymore. They don't go to movies anymore. And there's been studies with this, so, you know, it's amazing.
You're right, because a lot of the pictures, they had these big blow-ups of all these teenagers, and the youngest one being 12. And it's just heart-wrenching to see all those pictures up there on the wall. They had a whole wall of them, and it's just unbelievable. It's hard to fathom that kind of thing can happen, but it does, you know.
But you're dealing with a different kid in this different age, so, you know, you really have to challenge them with something to make them deter from drugs. That's pretty much. And when are we going to get back on the budget again? That on the next workshop or what?
Yeah, next workshop, yeah.
And who we will be discussing again, or what we will be discussing? Anybody have any ideas?
Next three departments.
Is it next three departments?
Parks and Rec.
Which ones?
Parks and Rec and Planning? Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Just to kind of piggyback on the comments from the mayor as well as Commissioner Givens, I mean, you couldn't be more right as far as reaching the children, the kids at school, because that's definitely one way that it gets into the homes and gets to the parents, because the kids will be the first ones to hold their parents to the feet to the fire, so to speak. All right, and I know myself as well as Captain Donnelly. You know, being involved with the youth programs and what like that in the community, I tell you, you see it firsthand. So I mean, I commend you, and we definitely had to keep that up. Piggybacking on what Commissioner Jablonski said, as far as the new website, I cannot wait for that to start. I've gotten information from one of the residents about, you know, one of our finest, you know, Elkton's finest, the was Sergeant Giaffi? Okay, Giaffi's being selected as Police Officer of the Year by Port Deposits VFW.
That's correct.
I mean, it's always good news to hear when they're actually expanding outside of the community and being recognized as well. And again, being biased to the police department because I'm raised by a police officer, it's just very important that we keep letting our community know that you know what our officers are doing. Not only in our community and how it expands out of the community, but he was actually recognized for something he did in the community. Correct?
That's correct. Yeah. September 2013, and I believe that was probably one of the reports that it sent through. And essentially, it's performance of CPR on a call for service, and they were successful. He was successful.
Was that email sent to the press as well as a press release, or just to the mayor and commissioners?
No, we are going to do something in the paper
Good.
also.
Good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, I think that website would be an awesome website, even reading through the reports, like Mary Jo said, when you read through the reports and see that, our police department are, engaging in over 150, 130 arrests per month, sometimes more, that's taking a lot of people off of the streets, or criminals, not people. Taking a lot of criminals off of the streets. It may not stay off, but for the time being, they're off. So they're actually getting a lot done out there, and that's just mentioning the arrests. So, and I really think it's a positive thing. Again, to continue to be transparent about our departments and letting our community know how much is actually being done. Okay, that's pretty much it.
But you've got a point, but I have to go back with what Earl said. Even with the snow, and you talk about letting the community know about the police, that's fine, but there's a block of people out there that don't get to see Wade. They don't have technology in order to do this. And I thought at one time with Joe we was going to have a newsletter, which if you sent out to every taxpayer or every person on the water bill, quarterly, at least somebody would have something going in their homes and something they could read.
That's true.
We still need it for funding reasons.
Because you got 7,000 people, maybe not reaching all 7,000 taxpayers that you have out there.
We can look back into that again, because we did have it, then when we just turned around, we put it on, again on the internet, on our website. But then again, like you said, not everybody's got a computer or looks on the website.
Right.
Does anyone recall the cost of that? I think that's why we stopped the mailing
I
of
don't
it.
recall the cost, but I think we decided that the news, the website was a better source of reaching more people at an affordable price.
Postage.
Yeah, postage and the printing and.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, sometimes you've got to weigh things because we oftentimes talking about you have a meeting, you got nobody out here. We talk about when it comes time to have your mayor or commissioner election, and you don't have the number of people coming because they're disinterested. I still maybe it's a task of ours. I'm thinking maybe trying to find some way to reach them or let them know what's going on. Because certainly, even though we hold these seats, we hope that people are paying attention to what we're doing, other than just sitting up here and think we're glorified. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're just talking about, finding different ways to make them aware. I mean, point well taken. Maybe it's something we can further look at, but, we're kind of moving into a more economic and, efficient way to get to the masses. Certainly, like you said, though, you don't want to forget about the ones that don't. I'm just not sure. That's something we need to actually give some thought to.
Okay. All right. There ain't nothing else, then you get a motion to adjourn.
So moved, sir.
Second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh yeah, don't forget to set your time back.
Oh.
The movie is Monday night.
I was like, yeah, that's not normal.
It's up, right?
It's up.
When you go
The Anonymous People film is being up at Town Hall Monday evening at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
For anyone that would like to view it.
And that, you could be up there with us.
Yeah, on Monday night, yeah.